Kirstin's behind the counter.
Hi and welcome back to Kirstin's Counter, your source for medicinal foods, Chinese herbs, and an optimistic attitude. Today we're going to be talking about Chinese medical nutrition and how it actually differs from biomedical or Western nutrition. Now we use both here on kirstinscounter.com for our research and our data, but most people are really more familiar with biomedical nutrition, which is really just understanding the nutrients in food and how it relates to different metabolic processes throughout the body. And this is fantastic and super awesome if you've been trained in this or if you have some extensive knowledge, but if you don't, it can get a little overwhelming. So in this episode, I'm going to start to show you an easier, more intuitive way to begin choosing your foods that are best for your constitution and your body type. Now, this is how we do it in Chinese medicine. We look at the defining energetic properties of the whole food, breaking it down into the following 4 properties. The first property is temperature, which means foods can be hot, warm, neutral, slightly cool, or cold. The second property is flavor, and we categorize this into 5 flavors. There's salty, sweet, sour, bitter, and pungent. Now there are 2 additional flavors, bland and astringent, but we kind of lob those on to other flavors. The third property is direction, which means foods can either go upward, outward, inward, or downward. And we're gonna give some examples of that. Wasabi is something that's gonna go outward, so I don't know if you've ever had this at sushi, but you can actually feel your orifices start to clear, and that's because this is going up, so your head clears, your ears clears, your nose clears. The second one we have is something like cayenne pepper, which is really spicy, and if you eat enough of it, you can actually feel your body having the reaction of sweating, your pores open, your eyes kind of water, your nose starts to run. That's an outward direction. Third, we have an inward direction, so that's gonna be something like lemon, where you have that involuntary reaction of your face kind of puckering and things are turning inwards. You can physically feel that astringent effect. And fourth is a downward direction, and this is gonna be foods like butter, dairy, meat products, things that after you eat enough of it, you can actually kind of feel it weighing you down. The fourth property of foods is gonna be organs affected, and there's 14 organs that can be affected in all. But this gets a little crazy in depth, so we're actually gonna geek out about that in a later video. Now we're gonna go over some examples of how we actually use this method in action, but keep in mind these are very brief and basic examples, and most people have a combination of constitution and patterns. The first example we're going to start out with is beef, and beef's been given a really bad rap, and the reason is because with the typical American diet the way it is, most people probably shouldn't be consuming beef, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be medicinally beneficial to some people. Beef has a sweet flavor, it's a warm temperature, and it's a downward directing herb. It's going to help to affect the kidneys, the spleen, and the stomach, and it also has some great therapeutic actions. It helps to tonify the blood and strengthen the kidneys, so it's going to be good for somebody who's anemic, somebody who has a weak lower back and knees, and we know in Western medicine it is full of amino acids and iron. The next example we're going to use is the cucumber, which has the thermal temperature of being very cold. Its flavors are sweet and bland, and it benefits quite a few organs, the heart, the spleen, the stomach, the large intestine, and to some degree the pancreas. And the cucumber also has some great detoxifying actions as well as moistening and relieving anxiety. Now, because the cucumber is so cold, you want to be careful when you're giving it to people like our beef person over there. You're looking out more for people who tend to have a fiery, hot temper, maybe a red face, tend to run warm, maybe a little bit on the heavier side. So there you have it, 2 very different examples of how we use Chinese medicinal food. Now keep in mind these are brief and basic examples, and like I said, a lot of people have many more patterns and constitutions. So we're gonna get much more in depth with all of this in future videos, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching Kirstin's Counter. Tune in next time. Cheers.